I have never, ever been as excited for a sales opportunity in my life as I have about this. And I think a lot of you guys watching this are going to feel the same way by the end of this video. By the way, when I say that, I've been in sales my whole adult life. Like, I've closed millions of dollars worth of deals. I've worked for some of the biggest names out there. And truthfully, I nearly decided to not record this video, genuinely. I nearly decided to gatekeep this for my clients that I'm working with. But then I thought, you know what? This is going to help a lot of people. A lot of people won't even watch it till the end, and an even fewer amount will actually take action. So why not? But for those of you who do watch this video until the end and who do take action, then I want to say ahead of time, congratulations, genuinely. You are about to make a lot of money and probably change your life. So let's dive in. For those of you who are returning viewers who have watched a little bit of my content before, you may have noticed that in the last couple of weeks, I haven't been posting as much content. And I want to let you guys know that it's not because I've forgotten you, it's because I have come across the greatest sales opportunity of our lifetime, and most people have probably never even heard of it. We're going to be diving into it in this video. So, first off, I think it's useful for you guys to give you a little bit of context as to how I arrived to this opportunity, to this conclusion that this is the greatest opportunity of our lifetime from a sales perspective. Now, for those of you that know me, you'll know that I've been in sales my whole adult life. I've been specifically in remote high-ticket sales for the last few years. I've closed millions of dollars worth of deals, netting average monthly commissions of $23,000 a month, working for some of the biggest names out there, including being a top closer on Charlie Morgan's team. And I always had a very unique approach to sales, in terms of the actual sales process, but also in terms of the recruitment side of things as well. So I always did well throughout my career, humbly, but I did it in a different way than a lot of people. And I built this really unique process on both the training and recruiting side. So I then went on to build a training and recruiting system that helps existing closers, those already in high ticket sales, to better their performance, get into better offers, and obviously therefore 2 to 5x their income. It also helps complete beginners to actually get into the high ticket sales space, to get placed into a good role, get trained to an elite level. And then also those individuals who are working in more traditional sales roles. You think corporate sales, recruitment, real estate, car sales, those kind of sales roles, and help them transition into remote high ticket sales. Now, here's where it gets interesting though. A client of mine, Craig, joined as a fresh beginner, at least a beginner in high-ticket sales, because he was working a traditional sales role, so he falls into that third bucket there. Now, Craig went through my process, and as per all my clients, we got him set up with our proprietary outbound engine, which essentially gets you in front of hiring decision makers with the right messaging, with the right narrative, at scale and volume, and also on autopilot. I'll go into a little bit more detail on that in just a second. Now, Craig, within just literally 9 days of the system going live, reached out to me. He told me that he'd landed a role with an AI business, which is great. Now, that AI business builds custom AI agents for other businesses, so it's a B2B setting. That company is doing 6 figures a month. They charge 20 to 40K, where the average price is around 30K, and the demand is absolutely exploding, hence why they're hiring and they're scaling their sales team. The commission structure is 12% on cash collected, so the average commission per sale, you're looking at about $3,600. And that's cool, is what I thought to myself, For Craig, I was thinking, close 1 deal a week and you've tripled your income, because he used to make 4K a month in a traditional corporate sales role. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. Craig and me worked together very closely. He went through my process. I was training him, mentoring him across a combination of group calls, one-to-one calls, and educational resources, training resources I provide. Then we were jumping onto calls, really dialing in his script, his sales process, practicing. And then after the initial onboarding phase with his new role, around 3 weeks after starting calls, Craig jumps onto Zoom with me and he tells me something. He shares his screen, shows me his latest numbers, and shows me he's closing 2 to 3 deals a week. Now, to put this in perspective, guys, remember, average commission, $3,600 per sale. That is $6,000 to $9,000 a week that he's making. And that's really when light bulbs went off in my head. I dropped absolutely everything that I was doing as I came to the realization that we are so early on the biggest sales opportunity of our lifetime. And by the way, you guys watching this video are going to be crazy early in knowing about this too. Like, nobody knows this yet. Congratulations to you guys watching this. And that opportunity is called remote AI sales, and it's the new meta, okay? And those of you who stick around until the end of this video and actually take action are about to completely financially change your life. You're about to make a lot of money. And by the way, if you want to emulate similar results to Craig, making 6 to 9,000 a month in a remote AI sales role, just click the link in the description and follow that process on there. Now, I want to give you guys, before I'm going to go into more details of like the industry, what types of companies hire, a bit more detail about how this all works. But I want to first off give you a very, very quick mini psychology lecture. That now that I've revealed the name of the opportunity, remote AI sales, what happens is many people's brains who are watching this video have now had their curiosity satiated. And what they'll do is they'll now go click off and go watch something else and essentially just repeat the process endlessly. So there's a new stimulus, they get curious about the stimulus. Eventually through watching that stimulus, their curiosity gets satiated, and then they move on to a new stimulus and then just repeat that process. So what I'm trying to say here is that for those of you who are still here, genuinely congratulations. You are able to override that default mechanism in the brain, and for that reason, you're going to make a lot of money by watching this video to the end. I promise you, I really don't take this lightly. I don't take it lightly that you're giving me your attention and your time, because time is our most valuable asset. So I really do aim for this video and all future videos I make to be well worth your time if you do carry on watching. So I appreciate it, is what I'm trying to say. So let's now talk about why this is the biggest sales opportunity of our lifetime and how you can use it to level up your income and life in so many ways. Because I want you guys to understand that this is not like remote AI sales is not just some buzzword. Like I really want you guys, and I think it's going to be helpful for you guys to logically see and understand what I'm seeing about why this is such a just the biggest sales opportunity of our lifetime, essentially. So think about this, okay? Now, in the 2010s, approximately 200 million businesses created social media profiles. They got onto social media. But why did they? Because they had to in order to stay competitive. And this is what's called a Darwinian effect, where an individual or an entity has to adapt to stay competitive. Now, in all historical technological jumps, what happens is there always comes a tipping point where a business has to implement the new technology or face getting left behind by competitors who are using the new technology. So some examples include, you think about the late 90s, early 2000s, businesses had to create a website to remain competitive. There came a tipping point where all your competitors have got websites. If you don't, then you're going to get left behind, essentially. So therefore, it makes businesses have to adapt to the new technology. In the 2010s, this was the social media boom. Businesses had to get on social media to remain competitive. Again, if your competitors are making content and you're not, you're at a competitive disadvantage. So it forces a business to implement the new technology. But in the 2020s, what's it going to be? It's going to be businesses have to implement AI to remain competitive. But here's a very, very key difference. This is where it gets very important. In the 2010s, in that social media boom, where 200 million businesses became active on social media, the thing is, social media is very easy to implement, right? We all know this, right? You create an account, start posting content. It might not be very good content, but the fact is anybody can do it very, very easily. So many businesses paid social media agencies to help them, and this is what gave birth to the rise and boom of SMMAs, okay, social media marketing agencies. So many companies paid agencies to help them, but then also many businesses didn't because it's just cheap and easy to do it themselves. But the key difference with this technological jump of AI is that in the AI boom, businesses perceive that it's too difficult to implement themselves. So what this does is create a scenario where, number one, businesses have to implement AI in order to remain competitive. Again, it's the Darwinian effect. Number two, they perceive it as too difficult to implement themselves. So therefore, number three, many of these businesses are going to pay other AI businesses to help them implement AI in their business. Now, this is where understanding this logically comes into play. To put this in perspective, in the 2010s, 200 million businesses became active on social media. Now, let's just say that over the course of the coming years, 50% of those 200 million businesses implement AI. I think that's being conservative. I think on a long enough time frame, it's going to be more like 70, 80, 90% plus. But let's just say 50. That is 100 million businesses over the next few years who are going to implement AI. And a massive percentage of them are going to pay other AI businesses to help them. 100 million businesses times by, however many thousands that another business is charging, you can see that that alone creates a multi-billion-dollar industry just purely off of AI implementation businesses alone. Now, by the way, I'm going to get into more detail in a second about the types of businesses that you can work for as a remote salesperson, but the umbrella term that I give is AI implementation businesses. Again, we're going to go into a lot more detail. Now, here's the thing, guys. In any new industry boom, there's always two types of people who get rich. There's the business owners, which is the obvious one, but then there's also the sales force that sell the products and services in the new industry boom. So here's why this is such a massive opportunity for remote salespeople in this space. Because number one, these AI implementation businesses charge high prices. And what does that mean? It means massive commissions for you. I'm talking $20,000 to $40,000, where you're netting 10 to 15% commission, meaning that you're making $2,000 to $6,000 per sale that you close. But number two, demand is absolutely skyrocketing, so it's often an easy sell if you know what you're doing. And again, we'll talk more about that in just a second. But to give a practical example to illustrate this, guys, put it this way. What do you genuinely think would be harder to sell? A $5,000 course to a 19-year-old who's got $6,000 in the bank and has no business experience, or a $30,000 custom AI service to a business who has millions in the bank? I would argue the latter. I would argue it's easy. It's easier, to sell the $30,000 price point in this context than it is the $5,000. But the $30,000 price point is not only easier to sell, but it nets you 5-6 times the commissions of selling the $5,000 price point. Same skill set, the same time spent on calls, but one of them lets you much higher commission per sale and is arguably an easier sale. Now, to clarify why this works so well is that you're selling services with massive commissions, $2,000 to $6,000 per sale, in the most in-demand industry in the world, literally, from a B2B perspective especially. So what this does is give you a great opportunity to make 10, 20, 30, even I'm seeing up to 40,000 a month and beyond. And what does that give you? It gives you financial freedom and security. Number two, you can close more deals with less time because you're focusing on higher value deals with less calls but more commission per deal. Think about this. Going back to the example I just gave, let's say that you're selling a coaching and info product for $5,000. The commission structure is 10%, right? So you make $500 per sale. Versus in this new industry where you're selling, say, a $30,000 product at 10% commissions, you're making $3,000 per sale. So one of them, you're making $500 per sale. The other one, you're making $3,000 per sale. Now, that means that you would have to make the same amount that you would make in one sale in this new industry, you would have to close 6 deals. 6 deals just to make the same amount that you would in this new AI industry. And that gives you time freedom. If you can close, even a fraction of the calls in this new industry for the same amount of time, it's more efficient, essentially. You want to be selling the highest price point things possible, guys. This is something I always tell to my clients. Look for high price points. And we're going to go into a lot more detail in a second about what to look for in these AI businesses. But the thing is, there is a problem, genuinely. This is all sunshine and roses, but if you don't know how to land a remote AI sales role with a top-tier business, and you don't know how to consistently close deals, close premium, I'm talking $20,000 to $40,000 AI services consistently, it's just not going to work. But fortunately, that's where I can come in. I've opened up 20 spots for individuals to work with me over the coming months, and we're going to get you into a remote AI sales role with a top-tier AI business. We're going to get you closing $20,000 to $40,000 deals worth $2,000 to $6,000 in commissions weekly, by the way, multiple per week even, and scaling your income to $10,000 to $30,000 a month and beyond in the most in-demand industry in the world. And what I really want to illustrate, guys, is that when I say 20 spots, I promise you from the bottom of my heart, this is on God, that is not fake scarcity. There really is only 20 spots. Any of my clients that work with me know how much I really give my all to my clients that I'm working with. I jump on one-to-one calls. I spend my entire life pouring into my clients. I have very high standards for the client results that I expect, what I expect from the other individual, what I expect of myself. And therefore, there really is only 20 spots, I promise you. Because I've built a training and recruiting system that I call the Elite AI Role Formula. It's built on 3 layers. Layer 1 is the elite training side of things, where across a combination of one-to-one calls, me and you will literally sit on a one-to-one call together and train. Group calls where we do role plays, live lectures, we bring in expert guests, we do call reviews, and then also self-study educational resources. So I've, like I said, been in sales my whole adult life, and I've condensed over 10 years of sales experience and thousands of calls, millions of dollars closed. I've condensed that into 20, 25 hours of content that you can just download. literally within a matter of days or weeks, okay? Layer 2 is inside a relationship. So what I'm actually doing and what I've done is built a back-end system and a full-time team who are working literally around the clock, reaching out to top-tier AI businesses and making deals with them that they will hire remote sales professionals through us because they know that my guys are trained to an elite level. In fact, literally just the other day, I had a meeting with the founders of Morningside AI. Some of you might even know who they are. They are one of the biggest AI education and software businesses in the world. A business that's doing millions per year where, by the way, listen to this, the lowest performer on the sales team is doing 15K a month. The lowest performer. Now, for those of you that are maybe already in high ticket sales, maybe you're in like coaching and info, something like that, you will know that 15K a month on many sales teams in that space is more like the top end. You know, that's more what the highest performers are earning. But in this space, that's what the lowest earners are making, 15K a month. Now, the third layer is an also a really important one, and it's called our proprietary outbound engine. So what any clients that work with me, and especially the next 20 people that are going to work with me closely over the coming months, and we're going to get them into a remote AI sales role, you're going to have an automated outbound engine that's going to literally blast out applications to top-tier AI businesses daily. I have spent months, arguably years through my own experience, refining this outbound process. It really works, guys, I promise you. We have proven copy, messaging, and script templates, and then what we do is we jump on a one-to-one call with you, and then we customize those scripts and copy to you specifically. Now, what this ultimately does is allow you to get in front of hiring decision makers at scale, volume, and autopilot. So we can get you into a role, and then the training will get you to a place where you're consistently closing deals worth $2,000 to $6,000 in commissions literally weekly. So if you want to hear about more about how this works and how you can scale your income to 10, 20, 30K a month, maybe more, within the next 90 days in the most in-demand, booming industry in the world right now, then just click the link in the description, watch the video that's on that page, book a call and speak with me directly. Again, I really promise you guys, this is not fake scarcity. There is only 20 spots. So if there are spots available, you're going to be able to see the video and there'll be the option to book a call. If there's not any spots available, maybe you're watching this, in the future after I upload this, then there'll be a button for you to leave your email and join the waitlist if you so wish, okay? But with that being said, let's get into a bit more detail about how this industry works. Now, like I told you earlier, the umbrella term I give for these kind of businesses that we sell for are called AI implementation businesses. And the clue is obviously in the wording that these are businesses that help other businesses to implement AI. But really importantly, this breaks down into 3 subcategories. You've got AI agencies, AI consultants, and then enterprise AI software. Enterprise is a very important word there. We're not talking about some low-ticket AI software for, $100 a month. We're talking about enterprise AI software. So, for example, I don't want to fully dox the company, but I've got a client right now who's got a top tier role with a company that essentially has a really, really cool AI software that helps sales teams. Okay. They charge it, 15, 20, 25,000 plus. And yeah, let's just say it's going very, very well. Again, I don't want to dox the company too much, but anyways, when it comes to evaluating an AI company to sell for, we're looking for 3 main things, really. Number 1 is high price point, ideally 20,000 minimum. I don't mind 15,000. It's not ideal, but yeah, really, ideally 20,000 minimum. But really, a lot of these companies are charging 20, 30, 40, sometimes upwards of 40K, okay? And this is important because, again, it goes back to what I said earlier, high price points, massive commissions for you, and more time efficiency as well. One deal in this space is the equivalent to closing like 6 deals in a traditional maybe coaching or info type industry, okay? Which means time freedom, more time efficiency for you. Now, the second one is good lead flow. So enough volume for ideally at least 5 calls per working day. Again, this is not necessarily like coaching and info where, you're taking 8, 9, 10 calls a day, or at least you have 8, 9, 10 calls booked. In this, we're focusing on higher value deals. The sales cycle is a little bit different as well. If you're charging, if you're selling something that's $40,000, you're not always one call closing them. Yeah, you might do, but I'm going to go into future videos in a lot more detail on the actual sales process because it is different. It is different in this space. So what I'm trying to say here is that I don't mind if the company's has got enough volume for 5 calls a day versus like 8 calls in more traditional other high ticket sales roles. Because again, we're focusing on higher value deals. There's a little bit more that happens in terms of the sales process. There's a little bit more detail. So again, 5 calls a day is fine. Thirdly is good reputation, right? So pretty obvious. Good reviews, customers getting good results. These businesses, guys, trust me, now that I'm on the inside, I can tell you guys, these businesses are absolutely exploding with demand right now. And that's why many of them are scaling their sales team. They need remote salespeople to come in and conduct Zoom calls on their behalf with their prospects who book in. They need people who can sell. They need people who can close deals. They need people like you. And I've put a little summary table here. As we can see, traditional old high-ticket sales offers, you've got an average price point, maybe 3 to 7K, where you're netting commissions of about $300 to 1K. Whereas in this space, AI implementation offers, you're closing deals for 20 to 40K, commissions more like 2 to 6K, which again offers you a lot more financial freedom, a lot more time freedom. Now, interestingly, the buyer as well, guys, if especially those of you that are operating maybe a B2C market, you've often got unsophisticated prospects, right? Brain rot prospects in some cases, but I've been there. I've taken thousands of calls in a B2C market with very unsophisticated prospects, and just frankly, guys, it can wear on you. I'm not saying that you can absolutely make big money in a B2C market. Hands down. I've done it myself, and I've seen multiple individuals do it. But it's just do you really want to spend the rest of your life sat on calls with 19-year-old kids, reframing their limiting beliefs? Probably not. In my experience, these calls, these high-level calls with CEOs, founders, they're just a lot better, fun conversations. But you do need to adapt your sales process, which is where the training with me comes in. You're not necessarily reframing somebody's limiting beliefs, okay? You are showing these high-level founders a solution, and a solution which, by the way, they already recognize the inherent value in. These companies now recognize that they have to implement AI or get left behind. They have to remain competitive. So they're very open and receptive to the conversation. They know that they need to implement this. And it's really just about having the right sales process that conveys that value of your solution while also eliminating other possible solutions that they could go for. Sales cycle on more traditional high-ticket sales roles is often one call, max 2, but often, you're trained to close in one call, which is fine. But in this space, it's a bit more common that you're conducting a sales cycle over 2-3 calls, okay? And the income ceiling is, on traditional, high-ticket sales offers, maybe coaching, maybe info. I don't want to say that you're capped at 20K a month. You're not. I've made, 20, 30K a month in a B2C market, in a traditional high ticket sales role. I know plenty of other guys who have. So it's not that you are capped, but in my experience, it's not too often where somebody's making more than 20K a month in a B2C type role. Again, absolutely possible, without a doubt. But what I'm seeing in this space is that it's just a lot easier to break past 20K a month, and it's actually a lot easier to break past even 30, 40K a month. Because again, high price points, massive commissions, an in-demand service which offers you plenty of volume, plenty of opportunity, ease of sale. Again, if you know how to do it, you have to adapt your sales process in this space, which is something that I am actively training my guys on who work with me. So if you want to fast track your success in this industry, you want to get trained on high ticket AI sales specifically, because again, the sales process is different. You have to adapt. You want to get placed into a top-tier remote AI sales role and scale your income up to 20, 30, maybe even 40K a month and beyond. Just click the link in the description, watch the video that's on that page, book a call with me. We'll chop it up and see how we go. It's been an absolute pleasure, guys. Make sure that if you are not, then make sure you're subscribed, because a lot of my content going forward, we're still going to be focused on, on a macro level, sales psychology, scripts, frameworks, all that kind of good stuff. But a lot of my content moving forward is going to be focused on this, because it's going to be sales content, but related to AI implementation businesses, because I truly believe this is not about me. This is for you guys. I truly believe that this is the greatest sales opportunity of your lifetime. So again, it's still going to be sales content, absolutely, but it's just going to be a bit more tailored to this specific industry, guys. So make sure that you stay tuned in for that. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for watching to the end. By the way, the fact that you have watched until the end shows that you are serious about this, shows that you can focus, and you might be the type of person that I really would love to work with. I can genuinely really, really help you. So click the link in the description, watch that video, book a call, and we'll take it from there. Bye-bye.